If you look at the high technology field, the history of this industry is every company has its share of execution challenges. We've certainly experienced that. We now see our competitor running into those issues with this month of being released. And we certainly are here willing and able to support the upside opportunities that may present with all of the OEM partners that we have. I think it's a bit early to really be able to even quantify what impact that might have. But again, great timing for us to have a great next generation platform with all of these capabilities at a time frame that they may be struggling with. So, one of the things we really do, as you can imagine, some of the struggles that we had in 2007 have been much publicized on the execution front. We went through an intense effort in looking at what are some things we needed to do differently. And the thing that I'm pleased to talk about today is already here in early June, as I mentioned earlier, you can see that all of these product introductions that we rolled out in 2008, every one of them was on time versus the expectations that we set last year, right? So we haven't had to go in front of one customer and talk about delays to any of these introductions. But the best is yet to come, to your question about 45 nanometer. We've made announcements about that we would be starting production of 45 nanometer technology by the end of the year, and we're tracking ahead of schedule and actually seeing performance levels and frequencies that meet or exceed our goals. And I think that this next generation platform positions us to deliver much greater value at each of those mainstream price points. When we look at segmenting that market, one of the things that you'll notice is that the vast majority of that market really is in small and medium business and in education and public. And if you look at the solutions that we have there, we believe that the product offerings from our OEM partners are going to be great solutions for that space. We recognize that we have certain deficiencies maybe for the very small, less than 20% of the market that's in the enterprise space. That's where we've been less successful. Obviously, we have some plans to address that. But if you look at these platforms that we have today, they are great platforms for the entire consumer space, and they're great platforms for small and medium business as well as government and the public. And that represents over 80% of the commercial notebook and almost all of consumer. AMD has a long history, right, of really believing in the goodness, if you will, and the power of an open ecosystem. I'd go all the way back to the point that we introduced AMD 64 technology. I mean, the day that we introduced it and announced it, we made that a public spec that was available for others, and we have seen our competitor adopt AMD 64 technology. And I know that seems like an extreme example, but if you think about it, our belief system is that by providing an open ecosystem, that provides the opportunity for many small companies to come in and innovate and provide better solutions to our OEM partners. As soon as we make that a closed system, we're basically presenting a barrier for many other companies to deliver value-added solutions. So the consistent feedback we get from the large OEMs is at every turn, if you can make it open so that others can innovate and provide value-added solutions, do that, and then it allows them to choose best-in-class solutions. Again, when I talked about an open ecosystem, that not only applies to security and manageability, that not only applies to AMD 64, that also applies to our chipset ecosystem. And so our platform will remain open. NVIDIA is absolutely invited to participate and further develop and give our OEM partners further choice. We're absolutely committed to that. At the same time, we don't want to leave any room for doubt. That for those partners, those customers that want a single vendor solution that comprehends the processor, the chipset, and the graphics solution, we, AMD and ATI, as one company now, are here, willing, and able to deliver that single vendor solution. Not exclusively, not to the exclusion of an open ecosystem, but in addition to it. When we say an open ecosystem, that does not mean that we take all of the IP that we've developed in terms of our graphics solution and just give it to our competitors. What it means is we provide an open standard and interface that then they're allowed to compete within. And I think that's really the essence. It's kind of cut to the chase. We are intentionally exaggerating our emphasis on the platform solution because, if anything, in our history, we could be criticized for being processor-centric and spending too much time really focusing on how our processor runs this benchmark faster than our competitor. And to my comments at the end, I really believe that if you put yourself in the shoes of the end user, I don't care whether it's commercial or consumer, and you ask what they care about, my thesis is very few care about in terms of the highest end processor performance. Let me give you an example. How many users are there out there today that aren't more than addressed by the computational capability of our Turion Ultra processor? I would submit to you it is a vanishingly small percentage. In contrast to that, look at all of the current notebook users that are being underserviced by their graphics experience. That was where the real need is. That's why we're emphasizing that part of the message. In the narrow space of, do we have our fabs 100% utilized so that we can't respond to upside opportunity, the answer is no. Do we have an appropriate level of utilization of the fabs, meaning that it will allow us to get good utilization of the capital investments we've made? The answer is yes. But we always strive to do our planning in a way that we can service our customers when they have unforeseen demand. Now we cannot hold back capacity where they can all come in tomorrow and double their orders and we'll be able to instantly respond to that. That, of course, would not provide a reasonable business model. However, we try and have a buffer capacity for when these kinds of situations occur, because historically, when they have come to us with upside requests and we've been able to respond to that, they've rewarded us for that kind of customer service. So by design, we have buffer capacity, so when situations occur that they exceed their forecast, we'll be able to address that in a material way. You know, obviously right now we're in full production of our 65 nanometer technology, and we're well down the path of introducing the 45 nanometer technology. And as we sit here today, both in 65 and 45, our yields are at or better than planned. So again, we couldn't be more delighted with the performance that we're seeing out of our technology development and manufacturing lab.